Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the series of founder interviews. Armor Digital is doing these interviews with business owners from different backgrounds and industries in order to understand some of the unique challenges they are facing at the time of coronavirus pandemic. Some of the people asked us, like, what is the objective of this? What do you hope to gain out of it? Basically, why are you doing it? So the basic reason that I think we should be doing more of such kind of sessions is to take advantage of the power of community. So being in the entrepreneurship network, I know that community is very important. And I am a part of many groups, online, offline as well. Some on Facebook, some on Google groups, and some which just conduct offline activities. And they have been immensely helpful. Like right from registering the name of your company, the complete normal registrations, compliances, to hiring, setting up your website, help with operations. So basically, at any time you are stuck as a business owner and you want to take the advantage of the community around you, you can participate in these kind of events and talk to people. And in my experience, people have been immensely helpful, and a lot of times they reach out and do above and beyond what's expected. So that has been really my experience so far. So I hope that these kind of events are again another way for people to learn from each other, to listen to what the other people are going through, hopefully not feel all alone during this very stressful time, especially for entrepreneurs or business owners. Like we have been trying to set up things from scratch. It's already been an uphill journey. I'm sure all the budding, aspiring, or even like seasoned entrepreneurs can relate to this. So it definitely helps to have someone tell us that it's okay, this is part of the journey, you will get through it, these are the next few steps that you can explore. So it really helps to have somebody or some people who can relate to your problems, right? So the objective of this event or events like these is also somewhat similar. We hope that people consider, learn from each other's experiences, each other's challenges. And another side effect, or like another thing, can be that people do connect to each other after the event. Participants connect with the guest, and hopefully something works out, because definitely collaboration is needed when times are tougher. We cannot afford to work in isolation for a long time, right? So it's important that we know what all is out there, who's working on what, and take a moment to reach out. So I know many people who are hesitant in probably going on video themselves, or approaching someone that they don't know for advice or for help, or even just to talk. So these kind of events are a good icebreaker, because you can definitely interact. It's a new way to interact. So I'm urging all the participants to please use this opportunity to talk to Shipra, to connect with her after the event as well. And even during the session, ask questions and make this whole session useful for you, because I know there's a lot of online events going on, and probably you can't do a lot with everything, right? So don't get overwhelmed. We are going to make this a very simple exercise. Just for the few people who don't know, we have also conducted another founder interview last week. It's going to be up online very soon on all our social media platforms. So do watch out for that. You can follow us if you are not doing that already. So you will get notified whenever that interview is uploaded. Having said that, having done this introduction, I would like to move to today's agenda. I'll welcome our guest, Shipra. Everybody, this is Shipra Nair. She is a Hyderabad-based entrepreneur. She is the founder of Ozel, which is a luxury brand, and it manufactures handcrafted ethnic bags. It specializes in them. It manufactures a host of other products as well, which are special, unique, and all of them very beautiful. So of course, there are some unique challenges that her industry is facing right now, which she will be sharing with us very soon. She graduated from BITS Pilani, and post that she worked in Shell for close to 8 years. Post that, she has become a designer now, and now she's doing this amazing and very well recognized brand, Ozil, which is well recognized in the industry circles. Like, it has been covered by publications like Wed Me Good, Little Black Book, Pop Exo Fashion, Shadi Saga. All of these are very big names in wedding and like special occasion industry. So being covered by them definitely gives that big push to the name that she has created. So having said that, like given a little bit introduction about Ozil, I will ask Shipra to give us a better understanding of her business. Basically, what are some of the products? What is the traction, especially before the corona virus? What was the traction? What was the team size like? And how were the operations being conducted? If she can give us the before snapshot, it will be a really good introduction. So over to you, Shipra, for your introduction of Ozil.
Thank you for a very generous introduction. So welcome everyone. Let me just briefly recap. So as Millie said, I graduated as a chemical engineer in 2010 and worked in the oil and gas industry for little over 8 years before I took this full-time plunge of, focusing my energy on growing Ozil. So this did not come out of a blue. I have always had an inclination towards crafts, promoting arts since probably childhood. And I started doing this part-time just to explore, where things could go. Could this be a passion project that could be monetized later and turn into something bigger? So one of the big things around with Ozil is the why of doing what we are doing, right? So every company, every startup that comes onto being, there's always a purpose associated. So very fulfilling purpose that was associated with Ozil the day we started it was that we were creating employment opportunities for women who were in need. Right? And it started out with one person. It was Deepti, who was the daughter of our ironing lady, who joined us as our first intern, so to speak. And we started out with, manufacturing some rakhis and put them online to see how the response was. And this was 3 to 4 years while I was still pursuing a full-time job. So this stayed to be sort of a passion project which grew alongside. And then a year and a half ago, I decided, I want to focus my energy full-time into this to see how big this could be, where this could go. And happy to report that so far in the last 1.5 years, we have grown from initially what it was 3 to 4 people to a team of over 30 now, which includes some of our core teams. It includes some of our consultants. It includes some of our carriers and also people who are working part-time on a flexible project basis. Right? It started out all in our study room, which we used to call our home workshop. And now we have 3 workshops, 2 in Hyderabad and 1 in my hometown, Itarsi, which is in a small town in Madhya Pradesh. In terms of machinery, we grew from let's say 1 to 10 in terms of our revenues, and in terms of our client outreach, we grew 4 to 5 folds. So it has been a very exciting 1.5 years since we decided to take this full time, and the team is really fantastic. We recently, just yesterday, we added 3 more people to our team. It's a fantastic set of interns. We got from IIM Udaipur, from Micah, who are now helping us, building our strategy. So that has been all of our traction in a sort of a before Corona age. And now we are in the current situation, which is like unforeseen and, taken most of us by surprise, if I can say.
Yeah. So definitely what I saw in your Instagram page about your workshop in Itarsi, right? So that looked really like something that was a passion project for you, and it seemed like a big achievement. So any special connection with Itarsi?
Yeah, I grew up there. That's my hometown. My parents still live there, and when we were expanding and giving a lot of employment opportunity and training opportunities to the people over here in Hyderabad. We just thought, there are a lot of people who are in need of that in our hometown. So it's just a little way of giving back to where you come from, where your roots are. And we started out again with a team of just a couple of people over there. And as the word of mouth spread, more and more women were interested. Of course, in Itarsi, a lot of staff that we have are part-time because they are homemakers who don't have a lot of time for a full-time job, and they have large families to take care of. So they take pieces on project basis and they finish those and bring them back to us. It's a way of them to acquire a new skill, as well as make a bit of livelihood for them.
So that's great to hear, like your very phenomenal journey over the past 1.5 years that you said, right? It must be like a huge momentum, and like on every front things are happening. You are hiring new team members, you are increasing the machinery, increasing the manufacturing, like the product development. Like, how did Corona hit you? Like, when did you understand that this is something serious? And post that, what does the situation look like right now? I understand that you told that obviously the sales must have come down, some of the manufacturing or like some of the product development must have stopped. So what is the situation right now? How are you and your team dealing with it? What is your game plan around this as a business owner? And how does the picture look like now is what I want to ask now.
Sure. So of course, when we realized, I think that this is going to be something that's going to last a bit longer, and this is not something that's just going to pass by, was somewhere in March. And that is where the first attention, where our mind went to, was people's safety. So that was to ensure that whoever is coming in our workshop, they are made aware about what this virus is, how it can impact them, the importance of washing hands, setting up, hand washing stations, and forcing people again and again to take precautions. Also wearing masks while they are, operating. Making sure if anyone is feeling even slightly unwell, we tell them to start working from home. We divided our teams into 2 crews who would come alternate days to reduce exposure. And this all happened until mid of March, where we still thought that let's wait and watch and see how this goes while taking all the precautions. But around a bit later, into mid to end of March, is before the Janata Curfew was announced, we took a call to close down our workshops just temporarily. By then we didn't really know it's going to last that long, right? But we decided to close down workshop. Immediately we worked out which of our people are capable of working from home, because everyone has a different skill set. There were a few of our workers who had gone back to their own villages for their planned holidays. So we let them go. So they are back in their villages now safely and soundly. So we quickly worked out a model of, what are the things that they can work from home on. And we ensured to pay full salaries until the end of March. After which, because that is when we realized that this is something that's probably not going to go away in 1 month. So the team took a mutual decision that we are all going to take a bit of salary cuts because we wanted to lengthen our run. We didn't want to be, stuck in a situation where we run out of cash and then you don't know what to do. So I actually heard the Shell CEO talk about this yesterday, and I really liked what he said. He said, it is all about preserving your financial resilience. Which is much easier than trying to rebuild your financial resilience. Yeah. So that is what our work has been so far. So we have all taken either some cuts in salaries. There are people who are working from home. There are people who are not working. They are waiting. Some are working with reduced hours. And that is how we are functioning. Now we do have a lot of time on our hands because our operations, manufacturing, and the entire logistics has been shut down. So what we are using this time is to focus our energy on 2 of our most passionate things, which is one is design. I have a fantastic designer, Anjali, who is on board with us. And we co-develop a lot of our designs for our upcoming collections, not just for this year, but also for next, because we have time for it. So a lot of creative work is going on that front. And the other part is around strategy. So this is about understanding what this new world is going to be like, because let's face it, we can't be too naive to say that things are just going to return back to normal the way they were. No, the consumer behaviors are going to evolve. The way people think, the way people consume, the way people buy is all going to change. Retail still continues to be a huge question mark. We do have a retail presence in Hyderabad in one of the malls, so that's going to be a huge decision for us to make. So this time we are spending a lot about strategizing. What do we need to continue? What do we need to change? And what do we need to stop doing? How do we pivot our product portfolio to ensure that wherever we have cuts in our revenue through these market changes is compensated by something else. And also think a lot about how can we eliminate waste in our previous ways of work, right? So what is it that we could do better?
Okay, that's really insightful, and it definitely helps to hear directly from the business owner, like what concrete steps they are taking, right? So definitely, like you mentioned, and this is a common theme that we've been hearing, to conserve the cash flow instead of thinking of creating new finances, right? So I think that's a recurring theme, and the one main takeaway, like you and your staff, some of your staff have taken salary cuts, which is a huge decision, but something which is needed at this time. So steps like those, and steps like asking people to either like stay back or work from home wherever possible, these are all going to contribute in creating a long lasting business, right? So of course that is the objective here, to keep the business alive till the time we are not out of it, right? So like you were mentioning in the beginning of the session about a business of fashion like group event that you attended. So what are some of the key insights from luxury brand industry that we are hearing about? Like you mentioned, consumer behavior is going to change. So how do you expect consumer behavior to change with respect to consumption, especially in the luxury brand industry sector, right? So what do you have to say about that?
So some of the insights that we got, and this was a study done with the BOF in collaboration with McKinsey, what they said was that overall the fashion market may probably dip close to 27 to 30% this year. But the demand for luxury goods may fall close to 30 to 40% this year, right? Now, we don't fall in that highest end of luxury. Ours is more premium to luxury sort of a range, right? So I think the way the consumer behaviors, and this is just a speculation and what I understand of human psychology is, people are going to want to invest in pieces, whatever they are buying, something which is timeless, something that is classic. Because you know what's going to happen is a lot of designers who were to release their spring summer collections right now may now do that during the fall or during the winter. So it's all about, especially in the accessories market, whatever you're making, is it usable throughout the year? Is it something which is a classic, or is it just you following a trend? So for us, we are still at a bit of comfort, because a lot of pieces that we made 2 years ago are still being purchased the entire year round. So we try not to add that particular seasonality or that trendiness to the products, rather than we try to invest something which is a bit more timeless. So I think that's where people's behaviors are going. They will also, I think people will be more comfortable shopping online compared to walking into a retail sort of an environment. And again, just a speculation. So that way, I think businesses who have already taken that plunge to move towards a digital source of revenue might be in a bit of a better position compared to those who haven't. Or maybe if you're thinking about it right now, this is the right time to do it, right? This is also going to be a time where I think people are watching very closely, right? Because they have a lot of time out on the internet. They're not out there really with an intent to buy, but they are really out there with an intent to watch and observe. So the way you position your brand, right? They're also thinking, are you just trying to push sales, or are you also trying to connect us with your brand? So the customer loyalty that you have built over the years is going to come into play now, right? How have your customers engaged with your content? Has it just been the deals and the discounts or the products, or do they personally connect to you as a brand? Do they align with the values of your brand? Do they support the purpose that you exist, right? And those things are going to be, I think, a factor before someone is making a purchase, because that thing is going to play in there. Yeah, those are some of my early insights, but this could all change in the next 3 weeks. You never know.
Yeah, I think for now, definitely very insightful. Like, because some of the things that you have mentioned are coming from your knowledge of consumer behavior in your industry, right? So definitely one of the points that you mentioned, people are going to invest a little more in timeless or more usability rather than completely following trends, right? Because trends will definitely go away after some time, and people are going to invest in more timeless pieces. So that's one important factor, I think, that we can maybe agree on. Other than that, like the presence online of an online e-commerce store it will definitely play a big role, because there are people who are browsing e-commerce websites right now, although the purchase is not happening, but the browsing is still happening. And in fact, I have observed higher traffics on a lot of my customers, my clients pages, and on their websites, which doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, they are not going to purchase this right now. What is the point? What are people doing? But it makes sense with respect to consumer behavior, because they are at that point where in the absence of corona, they might have made those purchases, right? So some of those things are still very high on their minds, so they are still going through the same motions without making the actual purchase. So I think that comes to that point of consumer loyalty, or how your consumers are consuming your brand content. So you have a tremendous Instagram presence, right? Ozil has a very good, a beautiful aesthetic page. So I'm sure you have also been seeing the analytics around those, and people who engage with that, and what kind of engagement you're attracting. So definitely on some of these points, like, do you have an e-commerce store? Are you planning something in the pipeline? Is there something in the pipeline? And again, what are some of the maybe branding or content suggestions that you have in mind that people can learn from? So if you can just illuminate on one or two of these points.
Did you ask about the e-commerce store?
Yes, yes.
So we do have a website, www.ozilvishay.in. It has been in existence for the last couple of years, in fact. But last 1 year, since we had our new digital marketing expert on board, Vishesh, that is when it has really, grown. And we have had the luck and the fortune to basically shift our primary source of revenue to our online channel, compared to where we used to rely heavily on, events or retail or just Instagram, Facebook marketing. So that has shifted now to our online store. And that happened, I think, late last year. So from that perspective, it's a bit more comfortable. People can come directly and buy from our website. Sorry, I missed the other part of your question. Can you repeat that?
In terms of brand positioning and content creation, like you mentioned, right, that people are still browsing and they will remember the experiences, interactions they've had with the brand. So are there any recommendations that you have with respect to how brands should be using their content right now? Because people are watching, they're consuming the content right now, right? So any recommendations on the content strategy or the brand strategy?
So I think this is where it's very important to think of these things not just from a marketing or branding perspective, but more from a human psychology perspective. I think you have to empathize in these times. These are sensitive times. There are people who are going through so many issues. Maybe someone in their family is, struggling with this, or maybe some of their family members are out there on the front lines. So try to build content which people can relate to without overly trying to sell your products, because to be very honest, this is not the right time for you to push sales. So one of the things, again, I read, which was really important, was that ideally customer acquisition has been more driven by who is clicking on your ads and coming to your store and buy. If you want to acquire customer in these times, give them something on your online platforms that they can use. So one of the things that we are trying to do now is some of the most beautiful things that we create, we are releasing free do-it-yourself videos around them, that you can learn how to do this on your own with just things lying around in your house. We released a video on how you can make a mask at home to protect yourself and your family members. We do that in our free time and distribute it, to the people around. So this is all about creating content which people like you yourself would like to consume, which adds value and which also recognizes the sensitive state.
I have another question, and this is mostly a little light-hearted in nature, maybe. I do know quite a lot of bride and grooms or prospective bride and grooms whose weddings kind of got delayed, postponed because of Corona, right? So a lot of them are moping, or maybe it's a little tough time for them. And since your brand also, predominantly caters to weddings, how do you maybe adjust your communication with them, or what advice do you have for them? Because a lot of them, maybe they are not extremely disappointed, but yeah, they are. It's plans, right? So plans that did not happen, and for weddings, Indian weddings, people put in a lot of effort and time for the planning preparation, and a lot of them have not materialize. So how do you suggest that your brand, or many of the brands in your industry which cater to them, speak to them right now, or maybe use the right language and tone to address them?
So we generally tell a lot of our clients, and this is something I read on Bedpost, which was around postpone, don't cancel, right? So whatever your plans are, you still get to do them, but a little bit later in the and as Ashni and Co also released their video, really nice video saying, don't postpone, don't cancel, love will prevail. So this is all about, it's gonna happen. The entire world is sort of on pause right now, but it also gives you extra time, because I remember when I was getting married, until the last day, I thought that, oh my God, I have so many things that I wanted to do and they haven't finished. And now you have these extra couple of, take the time, plan out the tiniest details that you wanted. We recently released our entire collection of wedding favors, in fact, the gifting that you want to do to your guests. And now you're going to have fewer number of guests. So choose those gifts even more carefully, personalize them, go through them. So enjoy this courtship a little bit longer, and yeah, don't lose hope. You're not alone. My brother is due to get married next month, actually.
Oh, okay.
And now we are thinking that, that's probably going to get postponed too. So yeah, I mean, everyone is there in this situation. And one more thing is a lot of our brides who were to get married, and some of their events got cancelled. So we received some cancellation in our orders as well. And I think this is also a time where you have to be empathetic, because they told us that a lot of other vendors are not accepting cancellation and not refunding their deposits. But we have done that to the extent that is possible. For one of our parties, we refunded almost 80% and gave them whatever was ready and put the rest on. So such actions also, I think, will determine how people perceive your brand a bit later, if you were really there with them when the times got.
So I've seen some really amazing reviews of your brand on all these platforms, Wednigood and Popexo and everything. So these are some of the platforms which your prospective customers, they use to filter out and to select which brands they want to purchase from. So of course right now the purchases would be on hold, but do you think anything that can be done with respect to talking to customers, maybe using other kinds of platforms or other kinds of content, or maybe partnering with relevant people in your industry? Like I'm sure you have done celeb collaborations, like I saw on the profiles. Ozel has done a lot of brand collaborations as well. So what is the status of them right now, and what is the upcoming plan? I know it's very uncertain on what you can execute or not, but I'm sure as an entrepreneur you're used to planning, right? So what are the upcoming plans with respect to any kind of collaborations or any other platforms that you wanted to use, but maybe they are being changed for a bit right now? So if you can just share some of them.
Yeah, so of course some of these platforms have been super useful for us in the past, especially Wednigood. We get a lot of queries from them, and they have been really kind to us as well by giving us a lot of features in their blogs, posts and Instagram stories, most of them organic. Yeah. So right now we are getting a lot of queries from some of these big wedding websites, but they are building proposals for paid marketing and paid content, which is really not something that we are looking for right now. Most of the brands are looking for spending more cash on these things where the returns are not sure, not guaranteed in the current time. So we are conserving cash. Wherever we are finding opportunities for an organic connect, we are doing that, and that continues to happen with some of our previous relationships. For example, when we are releasing something, Malika Dua, who has been really supportive of our brand since the beginning. So she shares it on her page, which gives us a bit of traction. We are in touch with some of the stylists who have been styling some of the celebrities who we would like to, so we are sharing our lookbooks with them right now, trying to plan out what's going to happen. Now, no one knows when this is going to open, so it's very difficult for everyone to plan. But what we're using this time to create a bit of brand awareness, and we are engaging to our customers, which is directly through our Instagram page, which we have found to be the most effective because that has a personal touch. It has the total aesthetic that we want to present. So that's the challenge.
So that's really great because obviously in fields like the ones that have this kind of aesthetic value, Instagram is a very fits in very nicely. The platform fits in very nicely with your goals, as well as some of the brand collaborations that you have already done. So that's what came to my mind when I was going through them, right? That of course these are some things which are planned way in advance. A lot of them take a lot of time preparation for it to happen. That final maybe an Instagram mention or a story by a celeb, it looks like a very small piece of content, but the hours and the effort that goes through it is phenomenal by a lot of people, right? A lot of people are involved in making it happen, and definitely there is success for the brand as well. It comes across in the future. So that's one thing that was going through my head, that the cancelled projects or the delay in the projects, right? Especially with other influencers, because we are like, especially as an emerging brand, you'll always be sort of a little bit on the back foot while dealing with brands or people much bigger than us, right? So at this time, saying no to something really comes across as a tough thing, but we have to say no when we probably cannot execute something on the ground, right? So that's why I wanted to understand how's the brand collaboration future look like for you. So other than that, I'll just talk to you a little bit about how, as an entrepreneur or a business owner, what is your mental health situation right now, and how are you dealing with it personally, just as an individual, taking care of yourself and your family, and the next thing, taking care of your business and of your team members, right? So because I know that this journey is already tough when you do become immune or a bit more resilient to uncertainty, because it's a part of your everyday life. But an uncertainty of this magnitude definitely takes us back, right? So how are you dealing with this right now, and are you taking any special efforts to address that for yourself? So if you can just share that with our participants.
Yeah, that's a really, really important topic. Mental health of yourself and of your employees as well, and of your family as well. So for me, I have mostly had days where I have been physically and mentally really busy or occupied. We don't have the helps anymore that we used to. So the household chores really take the energy out of you. At the same time, we have so much work going on in our designing and strategy teams that takes up the rest of my time. Saying that, it doesn't mean that, it never hits you. There are days when you wake up and you're just like, what just happened? How are we going to get through this? And there are days where I just don't feel like creating any content, or, engaging my brain. And that is the moment where I take a stand to be kind to myself, and I give myself a day off. And I try to do this with some of our workers as well, and our employees as well. If they are not feeling up to the mark on a particular day, we are not on each other's neck in these times. These are difficult times for everyone to get through just in a normal routine, leave out getting a lot of work done, right? So be kind to yourself. Also find solace in the fact that you're not alone in this. Everyone is, facing this. It also helps if you can sleep with this feeling in your mind that everyone who dependent on you is being taken care of. So they have food on their plates, they have roofs over their head. We have a lot of workers who are currently being, classified as the daily wage workers. A lot of our craftsmen belong to daily wages category. So we are providing them allowances to make sure they are not running out of food, or they have a place to stay. So that also brings a bit of comfort that people are safe and, Another great thing is perspective. So although I'm sometimes, drowning too deep thinking about the company, about the product, the sales. My mother, she works in the medical profession. She's a frontline worker in today's mayhem, which is going on. right? So she has to be at work every day, dressed in like layers of protective equipment, staying so close to the patients, taking care. So that also brings a lot of things in perspective, that there are things bigger than what we are doing right. And the last thing that really helps me, apart from my family, of course, which is a great support system, is my dog Shiro, who has been like he's our CEO. He's the chief entertainment officer here at Ozen. So he makes sure that he keeps all of us safe.
Yeah, I saw him, but I couldn't really see him. He has like
Yeah.
small
Like
eyes.
camera.
That's really nice to hear that. I think this is again a big recurring theme for all business owners, entrepreneurs, as well as just people, right? So we're all dealing with it in our own ways, and everybody is struggling. I don't think there is a single person who's not struggling with this. Of course, we all have our good days and our bad days. Days where we are like, okay, let's do this. Let's complete all of our responsibilities and be positive, be happy. But then of course there are days when we just can feel overwhelmed, and I think that's a very common thing. But I think that needs to be said and heard a lot more, because in probably a society like ours, especially considering India, talking about these issues or all these anxieties, frustrations is also a big taboo. But finally, because of this environment, it's becoming normal. So that's really good. But I do think that a lot of participants, even in the last session, they appreciated that this was being talked about, because they finally felt that even I'm going through this, and I did not know that even others are dealing with this. Makes you feel a bit more comfortable or a bit more normal around it, that it's not all in your head and you're not the outlier in this. So definitely, I hope you're taking care of yourself. Like you said, your dog, I'm sure he is a big support, as well as the perspective about your mother, very important. I think most of us keep forgetting that very soon. So I'm sure you're dealing with a lot, dealing with the pause on the business, the responsibility of your workers. Like you mentioned, a lot of them do come into daily wage earners. So that must be a huge responsibility right now, that they stay safe, they have all that they need to survive this, right? Coming to like broad tips around, any suggestions or tips for business owners in your industry that you think can help them maybe just survive the present times, if not succeed in this? Because I don't think most of us are even thinking of succeeding. A lot of us are just thinking about surviving this with least damage to our financial situation, our health situation, and all of that, right? So what are some of the suggestions that you will recommend here to our participants?
One of the things is start with your team, right? Make sure you're taking care of your team, you're taking care of them financially, asking them about their health and their well-being, in constant communication with them to alleviate some of it, because the people are at the center of everything. And once this crisis passes, again, it's going to be your team that rebuilds you back. They are at the core of it. Secondly, strategize. Use this time to really think and come out of your body and reevaluate your business from a third eye perspective, and really try to see, does it really make sense what I'm doing? Is it still relevant in the post-corona? Yeah. And if yes, then sure, continue to do that. If not, then pivot. Think about what could be the new product or service segments that you could come up with, which still would be in demand and help you keep your revenues at least steady, if not. The next thing is about customers. So whoever you have, the customers that you've acquired so far, communicate, not in a way, again, where it's a sales pitch, but more in a way on a personal level. Be sensitive about it, empathize, and connect with them, and bring them a little bit of positivity that they might be looking out for in these rough times. Bring them something like a new skill, tell them something that they did not know, give them recommendations. If you have time and capacity, mentor a few people. With the time that you have, you can always mentor other smaller businesses who are trying to. So that's one very important thing on the financial side is, of course, conserve cash. Try to stretch your runway as far as you can, because we don't know whether this is going to last 2 months or 6 months or 1 year. So at this time, to make any hasty decisions, even when it comes to marketing on a lot of these channels. So increasing your marketing budgets at this time could go either way. It could either work out really well because the ad costs, I hear, are dropping a little bit, but at the same time, it could also not translate into a lot of. So yeah, those are some of the things I would say. And then in the end, just be human, because that's what matters the most in these times, to understand whatever.
So some really good points here. So Shipra, what you mentioned about pivoting for a post-corona world, right? So where do you see Ozil in the post-corona world? How do you see your brand fit into this future, which from the looks of it right now is going to be a lot more digital, a lot more contactless for quite some time. So where do you see, and how do you see Ozil pivoting, or what kind of small or big changes that you're making in your brand to adjust to the next few years, or this upcoming new reality?
So one of the things that we are really thinking about is to amplifying our digital presence, and thankfully we already took that step last year. So we are in a good position that way. So the website is set. There's already an audience base who regularly visits. So to amplify that a bit more, there will be some tough decisions around the retail aspect of things. So we are listed in of course, we have our own store here in Hyderabad, and apart from that, also listed in various multi-designer stores across the country. So how does that get, how do those things change? We need to see once, all of these places reopen. And then a large portion of our revenues also depends on the whole wedding industry, right? Where we are doing now, if the weddings start to become much smaller, much more intimate compared to a larger affair that they were earlier, of course, our products and the overall volume also reduce. So at this time, people would want to gift fewer gifts, but they may want to give better gifts. Right. Earlier, what we saw was a lot of people also try and give these gifts also more for namesake, that I just want to give a return gift to everyone who's coming. I want it in a lower range, lower quality is okay. A lot of times we heard that, but now I think it's gonna get more personal and more, people are gonna pay more attention to these things. So what we are also thinking about right now is the range of wedding favors that we have, to focus more on the ones which are a bit more personalized, nicer compared to the bulk ones. So that's one thing. And apart from that, we are also thinking about what could be the relevant and possible category extensions for Ozil as a brand.
Yeah.
So this is something that our intern, and that's to be a huge, tough nut to crack, to really think about how do you establish yourself in other areas. We have been thinking about it for quite some time, so we have some insights on it, but this is the time to really put it in, right?
So some of the points, like the category expansion is really exciting. So what we are seeing is that a lot of people sort of face a paralysis at this time, because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with their teams, but it's great that you are setting in place a process for thinking about the future and how to take Ozil into the future. So that is definitely the mark of a long-lasting business leader as well as a business, right? So definitely very great to hear that the points and the decisions that you're taking today, which will definitely show you good returns, right? So these are all my questions for you. So we'll just go a little bit to our participants if they have any more additional questions they'd like to ask you. I think there is one on the group chat. If you can just check, it's from Trupti.
So if I understand that right, is it to say that marketing is the function that gets impacted the most from a cost cutting point? Yeah. So in the way that we are functioning right now, Trupti, is of course we've had to shut down our production operations, given the logistics facilities have all stopped. The marketing is definitely one of the major spends, especially if it's an upcoming brand. So this is one thing that definitely gets cut. Another thing that we will try to think about is consolidating some of our facilities to review whether we need all the rental space that we have. So this is more from a fixed expense perspective. So really try to understand, is there a way that you can optimize your real estate use as well? We are also going to think about the rentals that we have in the malls. Is that really going to prudent to continue doing that, or do we need to cutting back on? people's salaries. We don't want to abandon anyone. So our goal is to take lower salaries right now for some, even defer payments as long as possible, but retain the staff that we have. And that is why we are also coming up with new categories to ensure that our people don't get.
Yes, Shipra. So I think it's been really exciting to hear all of these things, especially with respect to the retail spaces that you mentioned. So where all do you have a retail presence in? Is it only in Hyderabad? Is it in a few other cities?
So our own store is here in Hyderabad in Kondapur, Sharad City Capital Mall. Prior to this, we were listed in Inorbit Mall, which is also in Hyderabad. We have moved from there. And apart from this, we are listed in various multi-designer stores. So where we have our products on a shelf in a lot of these stores. So in Delhi, Gurgaon, we are listed at Needham. We are listed in Indore at La Maison. We are there in Bangalore at Anahe. We are there in Surat at Ajilia. We are there in Assam and Guwahati at October 6th. I think those are some of the main. We are there in Jammu at Art Deco Villa and few more. So these store locations also keep evolving and changing.
So that's quite a big presence. So definitely it must be a hard decision for you to take a look at that. Like you mentioned, that fixed cost, right? So how to, how are you thinking of going about it? Because most of it would be paused right now, from what I understand, right? None of them would be operational as of now.
No, everything is on pause, and these are all, so the way the multi-designers work are mostly on consignment basis. So it's not that you're paying a fixed real estate fee for listing. It's more dependent on the sales.
Okay.
So that is still a bit better, but then of course there's a lot of inventory. So inventory management is going to be a much ignored topic, especially for us, is going to get a lot of attention in the country.
So in case nobody else has any questions to add, we can just take a few minutes to conclude the session. I don't know why it seems like maybe you answered all the questions. All right, Shipra. So in case anybody has any questions, they can still reach out to both of us after the session. Also, with respect to like what we talked to Shipra today, very, very good points that we came to know about, especially considering the background of your industry and how you as a business owner have taken concrete steps to survive this time and to move into the future and prepare your team and equip them, first of all, to deal with this challenge right now, as well as continue with you, because since like you mentioned, team is everything, people are everything. They are they are the major reason why Ozil as a brand, or for that matter any businesses where they are, right? So taking care of your team is the utmost priority right now. We have learned a lot. I don't know why the participants are maybe being shy in asking any questions. So maybe I'm going to get some questions after the session, and I will make sure that I forward them. So for today's founder interview, this is Shipra Nair, the founder of Ozil. Thank you so much for all the participants for joining us. You can give us any feedback regarding the session, that you have, any technical difficulties or any question that you think could be added in these kind of sessions in the future, as well as any other specific industry or a specific business that you think we can hear from for our next set of interviews. Please feel free to reach out to me and Shipra as well after the interview. She can connect with you. You can probably just have a general chat, or if you want to connect for any business as well, that's great. So with respect to that, we'll just conclude the session for now. Thank you so much, Shipra, for giving this time to us. And I hope that we again talk very soon. And just thank you so much for meeting us today.
Thank you, Millie, for organizing it. It has been very insightful for me as well, just to reflect and introspect.
That's good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.